Hello, and good night. How many of you guys are still up? Drop a one down below. Drop a 1 down below if you guys are still up. You're watching this live. Drop a 2 down below if you're watching this on the replay because you decided to go to bed before like 1 a.m. your time, which is some of you guys are in the areas where it is 1 a.m. and I apologize. It's so late. But I'm coming to you because I said I would do this. And what we're doing is we're doing day number 2, chapter number 2 of this whole entire journey together to where we're going to be playing for the next 30 days. Actually, now the next 28 days, we're going to be playing together and learning together from each other as we decide to learn how to be more, do more, serve more. And we're in the journey of called Awaken the Giant Within. How many of you guys have already gotten the book so far? I'm just curious. Drop a 5 down below if you've gotten the book. And, okay, I was cold and just, now I'm hot up. I'm heated up, hot up. That's not even the right word, but grammar doesn't care. Like grammar does, that's not even the right one. Like Sherry Hollenbeck does not care about how it looks or the package or prettiness or how it sounds. I just care about getting the content out there, period. Okay, so here we go. Content. Day 2, chapter 2. I want to start with this very first quote I read. And it says, a man is born... Let me just get a little bit, I just want to get a little bit close to my friends right here. Okay, a man is born to live, not prepare to live. I just want to take that in for just a moment. A man is born to live, not prepare to live. And as you go into the chapter, one thing I want to, they gave some reference points. I want to give some more relevant reference points to what's actually happening today. But I want to ask you, Irene. Hello, Irene. Hello, Ben. Hello, Christy. Everybody's jumping on. It's so late. Okay, so one thing I want to ask you is this. How many of you guys, drop a 2 below if you remember whenever this concept called Uber very first launched. You know those cars where, you send your kids out to get into a stranger's car and take them somewhere? How many of you guys drop a 2 below? If you remember whenever Uber launched. Or what about whenever that song launched? That song that said, tick tock round the clock by Kesha. Do you guys remember Kesha? Drop a 3 down below if you guys remember whenever TikTok launched, okay? Or my next question is, do you guys remember whenever this concept called, hello Destiny, hello Irene, hello? Do you guys remember whenever this concept called the iPads came out? The first one, not the 20th one, but the very first one. Drop a 4 down below. When 300,000 people bought it the very first day, the iPads. Or what about whenever there was a 7.0 earthquake over in Haiti that impacted over 3 million people, that killed thousands and thousands. It was the worst devastation Haiti had ever seen. How many of you guys, drop a 6 down below if you guys remember whenever that whole earthquake happened down in Haiti. Drop a 6. Devastation. Now, one thing I want to go and bring to your attention for just a moment. Hello, Patty. Why aren't you guys in bed by now? Okay, so here's what I want to bring to your attention. That happened a decade ago. A decade ago. My question is, a decade ago, where were you at in life? Who were you at? Or who were you at? See, forget grammar. Who were you a decade ago? Who were you spending your time with? A decade ago, what was your goals? What was your dreams? Irene, Destiny, Christy, Patty, everybody. More importantly, if somebody were to ask you where you wanted to be back then, where you felt you were going to be at in 10 years, what did you tell them that you were going to be, where you were going to go, what you were going to become? And my last question is, are you there? Oh my gosh, Sherry, why are you asking me these questions? I'm not, it's the book asks those questions. But more importantly, let's switch it over here. Let's just switch it over here, Miss Irene, Miss Mirna. Jim Lewis, it's super late your time. But let's switch it over here to something even more empowering question. And the question is, in the next 10 years, where are you going to be? Next 10 years, who are you going to become? Next 10 years, what are you going to accomplish? What are you going to do these next 10 years? That's a more empowering question, because the key thing is I want you guys to understand, if you guys got this from the chapter, is next 10 years, you're going to arrive. You're going to be 10 years older. The next 10 years are going to be taking place. They're going to happen. We're both going to be arriving. The question is, where are you going to arrive at? Just take that in for just a moment. Just a moment while I grab my notes. And here's one thing I really want you guys to ask yourself. This was powerful to me in the chapter. Is in the next 10 years, we're saying if we were to fast forward, are you going to look back over your life and are you going to be pleased, satisfied, hey, I did a good job? Or will you look back over your life and will you be disturbed that another decade is gone? The beauty is you have the choice, and the beauty is we're not 10 years ahead yet. And so here's what really Tony went into at this time is he started going into his comparison of his life where he went from like super overweight to where he's like fit. He went from broke to multi-millionaire. He went from, devastation, hated relationships to he was obsessed with this woman. And so what I want you guys to go ahead and do is I want you to think about times in your life to where you decide to make a decision. Because really, depending on what happened to you 10 years ago and what's going to happen to you in the next 10 years is going to be strictly in relationship to what decisions you decide to make. And by the way, by not making a decision, by not knowing where you're going to be in 10 years, that's making a decision. If you don't know where you're going to get, like if you don't know, okay, you will end up somewhere. The question is where. And are you happy where you're at today? I'm just curious. Maybe some of you guys are celebrating, so maybe some of you guys are like, don't bring that up anymore, Sherry. But the beauty is the point I want to point out is you get to pick in these next 10 years. Where are you going to go? Who are you going to be? What are you going to accomplish? But it comes down to this concept called decisions. So I want you to think about a time in your life where you made a decision that completely pivoted your life. And by decision, I don't mean you were just interested in doing it or you like kind of did. I mean a decision to where you cut off all other options. Like it's either die or accomplish. You burn the boats. When's the time in your life where you actually made a decision and you stuck with it? You said, no more, I'm done. No more, not another day, not another minute, not another second am I going to be living in this space. When? This is a good time just like to show you how to really, really learn and embed this stuff. Is this not like a passive program? I want you to go and take out notes and actually write this down. When is the time you've made a decision? And while you're writing that decision down, Miss Monique, True Powers, is what I want you to go ahead and do. Are you guys following, by the way? Hit the heart button down below if you guys are following this. Just hit the heart button if you guys, like, I still got you on the same page as me. Because while you were figuring out when you made this last decision, I want to tell you a couple of mine. I remember whenever I was in the single digits. This is what I thought about whenever I was reading this book that we're on this journey together doing. But I remember whenever I was in the single digits, I think I was like 9 years old. And growing up in single digits for some reason, because of society or what, I don't know, but I had this eating disorder. And I remember it was like so overwhelming and so heavy, and I felt like it was so out of control and nobody could know about it. And it was just awful. And then one day the pain built up so much so I made the decision. I was done, like not another day, not another second, not another moment was I going to be captured or imprisoned by this eating disorder thing about how I felt like I should be. At 9 years old, and that moment, in that decision, I never looked back again. I've never had another problem since. Single digits. Fast forward to my teen years. I remember because I felt so much pressure, so much stress, so much life happening to me, when we're big and bad and like 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, I felt like I was depressed. And life was just so heavy for me. And so I decided that I needed to be on Prozac. And so I got a prescription for Prozac. And I was being treated for my depression. Until one day, and by the way, just so we can get real here, how many of you guys know somebody in your life, either yourself or somebody in your life that has been treated for depression or is currently on Prozac or currently feels like they need to have some sort of happiness in their life because they're so depressed? Drop a 7 down below if you guys know anybody in that, just to kind of show some recognition out here or to level up the awareness. Drop a 7 down below if you know anybody like that. Mr. Boyd Brown, Stacy, why are you guys up so late? Okay, so at that time when I was on Prozac, I finally built up to a moment in my life to where I was like done. Once I realized what actually causes depression, what actually triggers the depression, and I realized it was completely a choice, completely a decision on what I was willing to focus on. Focusing on things I can control or things I can't control. Focusing on the losses or the gains. Focusing on other people or focusing on myself, which, by the way, focusing on yourself, anybody, is equals suffering. Period. Once I realized what causes depression, I made that decision. Done. I will never live another day in this prison of depression. Never. And I never did. That day I got off the Prozac and never went back. Fast forward, another example, a third example. I'm helping you with these examples while you guys think about your examples. Whenever I was in my 20s, early, I was working 12 hours a day at the sheriff's office. And then at nighttime, I'd go work from 6:30 to 11 o'clock at night, training horses, training people, go home, go work on college online, trying to do everything I can that we're supposed to do in America. Everything I can to try to get ahead. The problem was I wasn't, and every single year I was going back faster and faster and faster. And I didn't have money, I didn't have time, and I was stuck in this hamster wheel. And then finally one day, because I always meant to get ahead. I always meant to find a way to make more money. I always tried to find a way to make more time, but nothing was ever working for me. And finally, one day, enough pain got built up. I made a decision. And by decision, that means cut off all other options. That means burn the boats. That means you're done. Like, you're never going to do it again. Like, you don't have to know the details. You don't need to know how. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to know, like, that's your decision. You're done. And within 5 years, I was making more in one single month than I had previously made an entire year. A decision, the power behind decision. So I want you just to take a moment, Zoe, Destiny, Irene, hi guys. Take a moment and write down a decision you made in your life that's completely pivoted your life today. A decision to where it wasn't a struggle. You didn't go back to the drink. You didn't go back to the smoke. You didn't go back to the relationship. You didn't go back to the friend. You didn't go back to the unhealthy eating. You didn't go back. You just made a decision. You were done. Write that down for just a moment while I get a sip of water. It's been slammed today. We just got off of back-to-back meetings, and I thought I was winding down to go to bed. I think I got another thing coming. But here's one thing I want to explain to you. This is so common sense. It's like embarrassing to even say. It's so simplistic. But in order, I'm bringing to you. So take what I just finished telling you and put it over here. Now let's bring this part over here. In order to get a new result, what do you got to do? In order to take a new result, what do you got to do? I'm just curious. Drop it down below. I'm just wanting to know what level we're at right now tonight. You got it. In order to make a new decision, you have to take a new action. You cannot take old action to get a new result. Some people think we can, and that's probably why they're depressed. That's probably why they're stuck wondering, why is life happening to me? But you cannot get a new result by taking old action. You have to take new action to get a new result. So simplistic, I know, and I apologize if you think it's simplistic, but my question is, are you doing it? Because you don't know this unless you're actually doing it. So bring it back. And one thing I want to tell you is sometimes I just get like a little bit passionate. Whenever I get passionate because I teach something that I have to know in my DNA, because I cannot for a second teach you anything, Richard, anything, Irene, anything, Miss Hillary, unless I'm willing to hold myself to that standard. So, to bring it back home, this is one of my favorite quotes, is right here. It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, it's what we do consistently that shapes our lives. For good or for bad. So it's not our moments of inspiration where we decide to go work out, our moments of inspiration to where we decide to be loving and kind to our spouse, our moments of inspiration where we decide, to go give everything to our job, our moments of inspiration where we decide to just really choose to be happy, but it's what we do consistently. Consistently, good or bad. See, what happens is so many of us are so easy to give up on our decisions. Like, it's so easy to give away our happiness. We're gonna make this decision, be so happy, like so happy. And the next thing you know, somebody cuts us off and now we're pissed off. We just gave away our happiness for cheap. We make a decision. We're gonna be committed to our health. And then we decide we're just too tired when we go home, and then we go to bed. Is anybody relating to this? I'm just questioning. Drop a 5 down below if you're relating to any of this, by the way. You would make this committed decision. We're gonna go change our life for that. We're gonna go make more money. We're gonna go save. Let's just start with saving some more money. That way, in the next 5 years, next 10 years, we'll be in a better situation. But it's like, man, there's not enough money left in this paycheck, so we just can't do it right now. Oh, we need to go. I don't want to go cooking, so I'm gonna go eat out to dinner or whatever. So I just I can't save any money. Like I'm not telling you about what's good or bad. I'm just telling you what it is. And so to bring it back home, let's prove this point for just a second. Decisions. This whole entire chapter was all about decisions. The decisions. Decisions impact our whole entire trajectory of our life. Our decisions we decide to make, our decisions we fail to make. So I want you guys to bring it back to you for just a moment. And I want you guys to think about the last decade of your life. Hello, Kamal. Hello, Patsy. I want you to think about the last decade of your life. And I want you to think about whenever you were coming to a crossroads in your life, what decision did you make that if you were to make a different decision, it would have completely changed the trajectory of your life? Or what decision did you fail to make? The decision to get married, the decision not to get married. The decision to have kids, the decision not to have kids and focus on your career. The decision to work on the relationship, the decision to have a divorce. The decision to stay in your hometown, the decision to go move out of your hometown. Your decision to completely change your health, or the decision to wait another couple of years to do that. The decision to go work out, or a decision that you're too busy to go do that. What is a decision? This is a time for you guys to just take a moment, just write this down. And what's a decision in your life, or a lack of decision, that completely changed the trajectory of your life over the last 10 years? And I'm doing this just strictly just to prove it. Because you can hear me talk all day long, but a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. It's my favorite quote. But a person cannot deny their own experiences. So just take just a couple seconds, just 30 seconds, and write down some of these decisions to do or not do. Thank you for all the loves. I appreciate it. 10 seconds left. So we're wrapping up home, you guys. See, but one thing I want to point out, if you guys can just bring your eyes back up to here again. One thing I want to go ahead and point out is this. All of us over the last 10 years have had tragedies in our life. Is that right? I mean, can I get an amen? Can I get an amen if you guys have had tragedies in your life for the last 10 years? Can you just get an amen? I've had a lot of these perceived tragedies in my life that are legit things that have happened. But the question is, what decision did you decide to do and what these things would mean to you? These tragedies, did they mean that you need to be jaded and imprison you? Did they mean that they meant you need to go hide, or did they mean that you need to go flourish? Did these decisions put you into a prison of blaming people, blaming events, blaming ultimately yourself? Or did you make the decision to make these tragedies serve you? These tragedies empower you. These tragedies teach you about contrast. You don't know what an amazing relationship is until you know what a devastating relationship is. You don't know what an amazing, you don't value the dollar as much until you go through a bankruptcy. Until you're homeless, until you're living on the street. Like that type of tragedy, whenever you lose your home, you lose everything, that right there is so beautiful because it allows you to enjoy the juiciness of the dollar upside. What tragedies, what did you decide to do with these tragedies? That's the question I want you guys to ask for just a moment. So just take a moment on your piece of paper. It's super interactive. This is not for you to just sit here and listen to me at all. It's to become insightful because I don't know your answers. So what meanings did you decide to put on the tragedies over the last decade of your life? It's a decision, You're like, Sherry, it's not that easy. Like, you can't just make a decision to make something feel good to you whenever it sucks, whenever it took the life out of you, whenever it was a tragedy that's impacted your whole entire future. And my question is, do you want it to continue to imprison you the rest of your entire life? You've let it imprison you the last decade of your life. Do you want it to continue to imprison you? And yes, it is that easy. You can do it in a moment. It's just a matter of making a decision. And the question is, are you at that point? So just take a moment and go ahead and write that down. How it applies to your life. Five, 4, 3. Can I continue? Can you guys push the heart button if I can continue? I'm making you write super fast, but you can just put this on pause. Whenever we're done here, you can put on pause and just keep repeating it. But can you smash that heart button if we can keep going? All right, so here's this quote while you guys are finishing up writing. If you don't set a baseline standard for what you'll accept in your life, you'll find it easy to slip into behavior and attitudes of a quality of life that's far below the level that you deserve. See, most people will never achieve the amount of love they want to achieve. Most people will never achieve the amount of success they want to achieve. Most people will never achieve the level of happiness they want to because they're so busy making excuses. It's like they want to make the money, but they're scared of rejection. They want to go find the love, but they don't want to take the effort to go start dating. They want to go get the body, but they don't want to start working out because it's just not in the genetics for them. They're too big bone. Like all these, every single different types of excuses. If they would have just quit making excuses their whole entire life, they would have already arrived by then if they would have just done the work. Can I get a hallelujah on that one? That's one of my favorite quotes too. And so the question is what, if it's so easy just to make a decision, why don't more people go do it? Well, this right here explains it. But before I explain this, I want to tell you something. Right now, you can go make a decision, do anything. You don't need me to give you permission, but I'll give you permission. You can literally go and make a decision to do anything. You can make a decision to choose to be happy no matter what. It's a choice. You can make a decision to go to college, to go back to college. You can make a decision to go move. Don't wait till retirement, go move to your dream fantasy place you want to go. You can make a decision to go take ballroom dancing. You can make a decision to go get in the best shape of your life. You can go make a decision to go travel and go check out NASA. You can make a decision to go over to Egypt and go see all the pyramids. You can make a decision to go do anything you want to go do. You can make a decision to make a total pivot in your career. You can make a decision to live a level 4 love with your spouse. You can make a decision to mend a relationship that has been separated or torn apart for over 10 years. You can make a decision to do anything you want in this moment. It's like you go back, and this was highlighted in the book, is you go back to Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks. Right? She didn't have all the details of how it was going to get done. She didn't even have a blueprint. She didn't even know she was going to be making this big of a statement and going down in history books forever. But whenever she was on that bus, she made a decision to say no. No. I will not live another moment, another second, another, nothing. I'm not going to move. I am not going to be treated like a subhuman. I'm not. Okay? I got to stand up for myself. I got to stand up for my life, and I'm living by it. She had no idea. If you read her book, she had no idea she was going to do that to that day. No idea. But in that moment, she decided to step up and burn the boats and say, you know, forget you. I'm making a decision. Today, history books. Another guy that's talked about this in the book is Ed Roberts. Brilliant little kid, brilliant. Had all the future ahead of him. And then at 14 years old, he was in a tragic accident and ended up getting paralyzed, quadriplegic. He had to breathe with this iron lung. Okay, he couldn't even talk. How many of you guys feel like you have problems after hearing that story? 14 years old, quadriplegic, having to live on an iron lung. Who's got problems now? Can everyone drop your happy emotion down below? And by the way, if you guys have questions, just drop them down below and we'll go through them at the very end. But you're doing good. You're sticking with me here. Okay, so this guy, Ed, 14 years old, life is totally destroyed, right? Well, he has two options. To either live in this victimhood, which is it was unjust what happened to him. He could live in this victimhood. He can blame the world. Totally fair to do. He can decide to forget all the goals that he had in life. I mean, he's a quadriplegic. But he decided to make a decision to use this event that was disguised as a tragedy to many, to use this as a jumping off point, as a momentum, as a way to inject life into himself and thousands of other people. And he made that decision at age 14 to make this event serve him and serve thousands of other people. And so fast forward, he became the very first quadriplegic to ever graduate from Berkeley in California. Yeah, that's right. You guys, show him some love down below. Show him some love by hitting those heart buttons again. We're just getting juicy right now. Not only did he do that, but he went on to go and serve on the board of the state of California to represent all the rehabilitation, all the people in his similar situation. Okay, that kid has impacted today tens of thousands of people with all the different laws he's gotten implemented, with all the procedures he's gotten implemented. Okay, he had a decision what he could do. He had a decision to see what this event could mean to you. So a lot of us feel like we have problems. So my question is, have you ever suffered the problem of waking up being a quadriplegic? Just curious. You have the power to make the decision on what things are going to be meaning to you. So in closing, here's what I want to go ahead and tell you. If it's so easy to make a decision, this is going to be a homework here. This is what you guys all waited for at the very end. If it's so easy just to go make a decision and make our whole entire life amazing, why don't more people do it? Was anybody curious about that? I'm just questioning. If you're curious, why don't more people just go make a decision if it's that easy? Well, it's because of this. We have these two types of muscles, and muscle number one is called decision muscle. And that decision muscle, where you actually decide you're going to do it and you do it, like you say you're going to do something and you actually do it, that muscle, the decision-making muscle, is flabby. It's weak. It's little, tiny, and puny because you don't use it. But this other muscle over here, let's just call it the quitter muscle. It's okay if I just be raw with you guys. Can you drop down a yes below if it's okay if I just be raw with you guys? Because I don't want to offend anyone on here. But what I do want to make sure I do is not hide the truth from anybody on here. Because I feel like everybody on this call, you really want to do more and be more and serve more and just level up. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to just tell you the truth. Is that okay? Can you drop a yes down below if it's okay? Okay. Now that I got your permission, Christy and Greg and Kamal and Irene. The problem is we have this massive quit muscle, this massive give up muscle, this massive failure muscle, this massive loser muscle, this massive weak, pathetic muscle. No, it's not weak, it's strong. But we're gonna label it the quitting muscle. And why it's so strong is because you've used it so much. You make a decision. You're gonna wake up the very first time your alarm goes off in the morning. But as soon as it goes off, you decide, well, I was interested in waking up early, but I decided, let's just forget that little decision we decided to make. So most people are more interested in doing things versus actually committed. They're interested in losing the weight. They're interested in having an amazing relationship. They're interested in making more money. They're interested in being happy. They're interested, but they're not committed. They're interested, but they're not willing to make a decision. So coming back here is when I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself. Like I live by these principles. You say you're gonna go do something. You say you're gonna go start eating healthy, but you're so tired, and so there's the fast food. You say you're gonna go, love on your spouse at this level and just totally build them up with respect. You're gonna value them until they decide to show up late from home or late from work home. Or your wife has a bad day at work and comes home and yells at you. And then it's not so easy to stay committed to that decision of being kind. You decide that you're going to go start that new business and you're going to change the financial trajectory of your whole entire family's life. But after you're not making money for your first month or your first year, you decide, it's probably not just a good idea to go ahead and do. And so you make this give up or this quit muscle just stronger and stronger and stronger. While this decision muscle over here, you can't see it, but the decision muscle over here is just getting weaker and weaker because you never actually do it. A decision means you make a decision, you cut off all other options. Like it's not change your mind. It's not only do it until it gets hard. It's not do it until something better comes up. It is not do it until you change your mind. It's like you do it until it's done. You burn the boats like there's no other option. Are you guys following this? Can you hashtag fire? Thanks, man. Can you hashtag follow if you guys are following this? Like there's no other option. When you said you're gonna do something, you're gonna do it. There's no other options. Do you get that? So most people, they never get a chance to make a decision because they never do a decision. Like they don't. They can't even make the dinner on time. They can't even do the dishes on time. They can't even stay committed to a workout routine. They can't even stay committed to their goals. They can't even stay committed to waking up when their alarm goes off. That's society. It's not you though. So here's the homework. The question is, okay, Sherry, now that you just said all that to me, how do you fix it? Well, it's easy. Just start working out the muscle. So you just start making decisions and you hold to it. It's that simple. You just got to build it up. Just like you built up this quit muscle, you got to build up this decision-making muscle. So what I want you to go and do is on a piece of paper, what I want you to go and write down is I want you to write down a decision. Something you're going to be committed to doing in these next 24 hours. Right now. Right now, write down a decision. It could be something small, something big. It could be a decision to drink water for these next 24 hours instead of drinking pop. I'm a recovering 12-pack-a-day popaholic, by the way. It could be a decision to wake up on time the first time your alarm clock goes off. It could be a decision that no matter what, you're going to be happy for these next 24 hours. I'm not saying a lifetime, just these next 24 hours. You got to start with little tiny baby steps. I'm going to be happy for the next 24 hours no matter what. I'm going to show unconditional love to my kids for these next 24 hours no matter what. What's a decision you can commit to? And drop it down below. I would love to read these decisions. Let's do some accountability here. What's a decision you're committed to make for these next 24 hours? Make 5 phone calls, get 10 more contacts. Put in your best effort at work. By that, be something specific, like go ask your boss for that promotion, or go do something to go deserve that promotion. Maybe stay later, maybe get there earlier. What's something you're committed to do in the next 24 hours, and write it down. And then no matter what, you accomplish that. See, we're making decisions every single day. Every single day. And by not making a decision, you're making a decision. An example of this is in closing. I'll just give you a little bonus session really quick. Everybody is making a decision every single moment on 3 different things. And this right here is a direct correlation to your happiness. You're making a decision on what to focus on. Are you focusing on things you can control or things you can't control? By the way, if you're suffering, are you focusing on things you can control or can't control? Just yell it out to the screen. What is it? Can or can't? Can or can't? Can or can't? Can't. If you're suffering, you're focusing on things you can't control. Are you focusing on things you have or things you've lost? If you're suffering, which one are you focusing on? Things you can or things you have or things you've lost? Just yell it back to me. Yell it back to me. Things you've lost if you're suffering. If you're suffering, are you focusing on the past or the present and future? If you're suffering, it's the past. Are you focusing on yourself or are you focusing on other people? If you're suffering, you're always focusing on yourself. Write this down. If suffering equals focusing on yourself, suffering equals focusing on yourself, write that down. Somebody said to me one time, they said, sure, I'm not focusing on myself, but I'm so depressed. I'm like, because you're focusing on yourself. She's like, I'm not focusing on myself. I am upset because I have not been enough for my kids. Can anybody relate to that? Drop an 8 down below if you've ever felt the feeling because you were depressed because you weren't doing enough for your kids, weren't doing enough for your spouse, weren't doing enough for your work, weren't doing enough for other people. Drop an 8 down below if you've ever had that feeling. Because this conversation is strictly between you and me. Because I've had this conversation to myself. I said, you're focusing on yourself, you're being selfish. Because whenever you're focusing on the fact you haven't been enough for your kids, what type of state does that put you in? A good or a bad state? An empowered state or a guilty state that you don't want to do anything? It's a bad state. Whenever you're in a bad state, do you serve you at any levels? No. Do you serve your kids? Whenever you're feeling blame and guilt and shame, do you serve your kids at any level? No, you're not good for you. You're not good for them. You're not good for anybody. You're selfish because you're focusing on yourself, that you haven't been enough for your kids. If you were actually focusing on them, if you're actually focusing on the other person, you'd be out there doing and being and serving them. But instead, you're focusing on yourself, that you haven't been enough. So how do you change that? You just change the pattern of your focus. Start focusing on them. Focus on other people. Focusing on what you can control. Focusing on what you do have. This is so simplistic, but my question is, are you following it? So for these next 24 hours, here's the homework. Number 1, write down that committed decision that you're going to make in the next 24 hours. Little, big, it doesn't matter. Just start building the muscle. And number 2 is I want you to be hyper aware of for the next 24 hours what decisions you're choosing to focus on. If you start to feel friction in your chest, I want you to ask yourself, am I focusing on things I can control or can't? And if you realize you're focusing on things you can't control, focus on what you can control in that moment. Are you focusing on the loss or what you have? If you realize it's loss, focus on what you have in that moment. If you're focusing on yourself, you're focusing on others. If you realize you're focusing on yourself, how life's not the way that you think it should be, or you're not as far as you thought you should be, or people aren't treating you how you think you should be, you're focusing on yourself. Just change your focus to other people. And who do you need to do this for? Yourself. So with that said, that is in closing. This was half of chapter 2, by the way. We're going to finish the other section tomorrow. And in the meantime, if you guys got any value from this, can you just drop the word hashtag value? I'm just curious if you guys got any value from this. If you guys are following this, you got 28 more days. This is intense. This is a big chapter. But if you guys are game and willing to play, I'm willing to keep going. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, can you do me a favor? Can you have the best night of your entire life tonight? Can you do that? All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be 6 p.m. California time, 7 p.m. Mountain time. We're moving it up 1 hour. Good night, everybody.